Actually, at my age, I'm 62. I probably behave like a millennial because I'm one of the few that does everything on my phone. And so my speeches, emails, big presentations all come out of this little box. So, I want to thank Rebecca and, of course, Richard for inviting me. It was just like 2 weeks ago. I think she saw an article about me, and she invited me. And since I love this kind of thing, it's important to me. I said yes readily. But instead of talking about my life story, I think it's more interesting if I shared with you the 10 lessons I learned in the last 10 years. It'll be interesting, I hope, because they're not the usual lessons that you give. It's about how to succeed in business, but these are the things probably you don't hear. People don't talk about, maybe because it's politically incorrect, or at least some of them. Okay? So I hope you find it interesting. The first one is looks matter. Diba they tell you it's okay, you have a great personality and all of that. You know, you can succeed. The truth of the matter is, all things being equal, looks do count for a lot. I don't mean that you have to be beautiful like Miriam Cambao, but you've got to take care of yourself. You have to, oops, it's okay. You have to project your image. So you take care of your skin, make sure you dress up well, you invest in yourself, in your wardrobe, get fit. You have to do all of these things because that's all part of the packaging. Now, tell me, which one would you employ? This one on the right or this one in the left? If they came to you for an interview, you're all managers here. Of course, you would choose the one on the right. And generally, I'd agree with you, except yesterday when I was preparing this speech and Rafi is somewhere. Rafi, my strat planner, is here. She's the one behind the scenes. You know, I was looking for pictures to show the sloppy, and then I couldn't find any because they all look like the girls, the people in my office. We all dress like this, advertising eh. But okay, Rafi found better pictures than me. So of course you would hire that one, right? Now, norms vary per company, so you need to adjust. You can't just be one personality. I learned this the hard way. When I joined my first ad agency, I loved wearing these flowing robes. You know, I would wear it I'd have a coat like from here to here. I would get trapped indoors nga or cars because it was so mahaba. Anyway, and I wore these avant-garde outfits, which are perfect for advertising. They let you get away with it. But then I was assigned to a very conservative account. That was J&J. And I was dealing with other women managers who couldn't deal with me because I wore these outrageous clothes. I wore too much makeup. Oh, and I wore too much jewelry. They just couldn't deal with that, and they couldn't relate to me. After 6 months, I got a really bad evaluation, so it was time to change. So I had to tone down everything. I had to wear really boring suits. I had to scale down on my makeup and my jewelry and all of that. You know, and actually after that, things got better. Medyo nakaka-relate na sila with me. After that, I also learned, however, to be very observant. Kasi, you know, I thought I could just be myself. You can't, not when you're in a service industry. So you kind of have to look like them or dress the part, sound like them meaning clients. So I adjusted. I had a Citibank client who was Indian. He loved red. I wore red in a presentation. Coca-Cola is a very young account, so I wore jeans. And that's how I got, you know, better rapport with my clients. So that's what you need to do. You have to adjust. You have to dress the part. I'm lucky that I have this Korean clinic, which is just 5 minutes walk from my office. So anytime I need some youthifying, and I do need it at 62, this is where I go. In fact, but you know, I mean, I look vain. I look vain, and I am now. But when I was in my 50s, I was even using Safeguard on my face, you know, bad. When liquid facials, I think, were there for a long, long time, or liquid soap. When I was like that, I didn't care. I did quick fixes. I was too busy working. I thought I didn't have time. So, you know, and the thing is, it's a very stressful industry, advertising, right? So the stress would manifest itself in me through rashes all over my face. So what did I do to fix it? I just put a lot of foundation. And then I got hydrocortisone for 3 days, and then everything was fine. 27 days out of a month, I had bad skin. But finally, I retired at 50, and I found the time. The first time I retired. I've retired 3 times. But the first time I said, wow, there's a world out there. I can take care of my skin. That's the only time I learned about facials. And so, you know, there's so many interventions out there. I mean, you shouldn't have to suffer these things and give the excuse that you don't have time, which I did. So I'm saying that because you're so much younger than me, and imagine if I knew all of this and if I did all of this, I might look 20. No, no, I don't think so. But anyway, so as a treat, to help all of you get started, I'm going to give everyone facial GC free. Just pick it up when you go outside. So you could come to my clinic and you get a free facial, okay? And get you started on caring for yourself. The second one, mga before and after yan. That's what the GC looks like. Okay, second one, it pays to move around. You know what they say? I say this. I say this all the time to my people. You know, you have to be loyal to your company, you know? You stay there, build your career, they'll take care of you, and all of that, because I'm expected to say this. And you know, Rafi, when she saw this, she got shocked. I said, don't tell anyone I said this. But it's true. Move around. That's the fastest way to the top. You know, you stay in a good company for a couple of years, and then learn the ropes, pay your dues, and be exceptional. I've always been very competitive, and so I encourage you to be the same. But I never competed against other people. I mean, that's like a recipe for failure. Compete against yourself. You set your own standards, and you measure yourself against that. Because that's the one thing you can control. You can't control other people, but you can control yourself. So compete against yourself, set your goals or whatever, and track yourself against those. I mean, I'm great to talk about that, but the truth is I never planned my life. My life planned me. But that's what I can impart. You can plan your life. But when the work becomes kind of procedural, diba, and di na fun, and you've stopped learning, I think that's the time you should consider moving on. Get a better paying job, a higher position, and really don't be afraid to move every few years. As I said, it's the fastest way to the top. A bit of my background, I graduated economics in UP, and I thought I would be an economist. So I started my career in NEDA. Are there any government people in the audience? I met one, Tonette. Are you the only government person here? Okay, so I started my career in NEDA, UNDP, and our job was to take care of foreign training consultants who came to the country for a week or two to train on export promotion. But after their stint, they wanted to go to the beaches in Manila. So we got to go with them. So that was my first lesson in work-life balance. Half the time we're with them, with their training, half the time we're in the beaches enjoying. I love that. And it's funny because we recently united with our small band of would-be economists, and it was remarkable to learn that practically everybody in the group had become really successful, whether it was in government or whether it was in the private sector. Everyone actually made a name for themselves. And then we were comparing notes what it was like when we were young, and we were first jobbers in NEDA. And I think the common denominator was that we probably had too much fun. It didn't feel like work, because probably we weren't working half the time. Anyway, it was fun. But what we learned from that exercise is that we need to have fun in what we do and the work that we do. Whatever job we followed afterwards, we went on to serious careers, but everywhere we went, we made sure we had fun. So after a year of NEDA, I started serious work. I did brand management for 5 years in Procter & Gamble, and later on, Levi's Far East. And then finally, I moved to advertising, where I spent the first 14 years in McCann, which is my first advertising job, and then the country's leading ad agency. I came in as account director, but I left as EVP, Executive Vice President. I had been groomed from way earlier to be the next president. But I turned it down because I was 47, and I thought I have 3 more years to go before I retire, and I wanted to do it in another agency environment, because 14 years in age, I loved the agency, I loved the values there, but I wanted my last adventure. So I wasn't afraid to just give up something. Kumbaga, it was supposed to be my legacy. I gave it up and tried, being with the most creative agency. And my mandate in BBDO, where I was president and CEO, was to turn that creative reputation that they had into business gains. So I did that for 3 years. After tripling the company, then I moved on to something else. This time, as I joined the DDB, a group of companies, as vice chairman and chief marketing officer. And I put up their second creative agency, DM9, their media companies, DDB Media and Touch DDB, their digital agency, Tribal, then their field promotions and PR and events. I mean, I set up a lot of companies for them. After 5 years, time to move on again. So that's when I quit. The second time I quit, I think. And set up my own consulting company. It's a marketing consulting company. I called it Dimsu Consulting because it's my name and because it was about food. At that time, I just wanted the restaurant franchise. I was retired. I was happily retired. This is what I wanted with my life. I wanted to relax, travel, do a little consulting on the side. So I thought I wanted to have a restaurant franchise because I love food. I love food, I love feeding it, I love cooking. So I decided I was going to join Bistro Group, have a franchise. Those are a lot of their brands, as you can see, a dozen and probably growing. Anyway, so I was talking with their owner and president at that time, and I was there just to say, can I have a franchise for Fridays, TGI Fridays? But instead, he talked about a new brand that he was going to launch in a month. It was patterned after a Korean brand called Mad About Garlic, where everything, including dessert, was infused with garlic. So he really liked the idea. Kaya lang, ayaw magpa-franchise. Korea didn't want to franchise it. So what he did is he brought his entire team, his chef, his operations guys, his marketing people to Korea to study the concept. Of course, when they got back to the Philippines, he didn't know what to call it. Bawal to call it Mad About Garlic, right? And so after long deliberation, and he said he even did a contest or whatever, went online, he ended up with Crazy Garlic. And at that time, I just looked at him after 2 minutes. I'm like, why did you call it Crazy Garlic? Why not Nuts About Garlic? Because, Nuts About Garlic sounds like Mad About Garlic. Number 2, nuts is a food group. It makes sense, right? Then he looked at me. He said, I spent 3 months trying to figure this out. I talked to you for like 2 seconds, and you have the perfect name. I said, can you still change it? No more na, because we were launching in a month. And so at that point, he said, what do you do for a living? Eh, syempre, I'm unemployed. Hindi naman talaga ako nag-work. Maganda, Dimsu Consulting. But I wasn't really working. So he said, I want to take you in as marketing consultant. So that began that next phase of my life. So primarily, was perfect because dimsum, parang tunog dimsum, di ba? So I started working with them as a marketing consultant. And I loved it because, I didn't get my franchise, but at least I was able to work with the largest restaurant group. And I got to eat for free in all their 60 restaurants at that time. That was like the best benefit of all. Libre, di ba? In fact, I was telling him, kahit hindi niyo ako bayaran, basta pakainin niyo anytime I want. Okay, so, I went ahead of myself. Okay, I was finally, after that, I was lured back into advertising. Kasi at that time, sa consulting company ako, so Bistro was one of them, the other one was Aspac. Aspac at that time was the longest running local company na successful. Hindi pa binibili ng multinational. And so, I was, parang feeling ko at that time is, this is an indie shop. I've headed multinationals for the most part of my life. It's time to give back. I wanted this small agency to fight against the big boys, and I wanted to help them to do it. And so that was kind of my way of giving back. Why? I would go from being vice chairman to just a CEO of a smaller agency. It was because even then, I just really wanted to help them, fight the big boys. Okay, in other words, parang may messianic complex ako. Parang the little David slaying Goliath, di ba? Now, it's funny about life and what happens, you meet a person here, you don't know that down the road they're going to figure really large in your life. And that was what was happening with me. And I never think that nothing ever happens by chance. I really believe that. So after I did a good job, I think, with Bistro, Bill, who was the president, he travels all over the world looking for food franchises, right? And because of that, he got exposed to so much more. And he saw the booming business in beauty and wellness. So 2 years ago, he invited me to join. Oh, that's me, Maybe before and after. Anyway, so join Oracle Korean Aesthetic Clinic, which is the leading aesthetic clinic in Korea. He brought it in, and I said yes right away because it seemed at the time really perfect for me. So that's kind of where my second passion is. Okay, third rule, go where the women rule. I mean, you really want to move up, you know. There's some talaga industries where women make a difference and it's easier. You don't have the glass ceiling. I mean, I researched this, even the States here. Advertising is one. A lot of women leading advertising, research. Mga detalye, accounting, may mga details. Women are better at that. BPOs are dominated by women today. Media, PR, hospitality, of course, health and beauty care, services. Or you can go into digital, which is genderless. I made actually the reverse leap. Usually in our industry, everybody aspires to become a client after being in advertising. Well, I went the opposite direction. I went the opposite way. But what it did was differentiate me from everybody else, and so gave me the edge with clients. Because, you know, I mean, it was instinctive for them. I mean, naturally drawn to you and to respect you and listen to what you have to say, because they knew you were one of them at some point. So there's more trust, I think, even before you even start. Importantly, today, this marketing background is allowing me to transform our ad agency from being just a creative services provider to a total marketing solutions partner. I'm going to show you 2 commercials that we launched in the last year or 2 for Insular Life. And at that time, a background on this one, the client had a change in management and they wanted to target millennials. That's it. And I said, you don't have millennial products. How can you? And so I'm running ahead of myself. But what we did as an agency is we came up with the products. We went through research, sat down with our agent, worked it. We were the ones that developed all that. And these product concepts were tested, did well, and finally we had the commercial. Even though I should have just focused on doing a commercial, we got involved in product development. Why? You want them to succeed. You want them to succeed. And if you don't have the product, either you fight them because they can't produce it or you create one. So we worked actually in tweaking existing products so that they can be relevant to the new target market. So let's just play a couple of these.
Our son Joshua is very responsible. He's very thoughtful.
Tricks on me!
And he knows how to save for the future. I should know. We made sure of it. For graduation, we got him an Insular Life First Million Fund. We put in half, and he contributes his share. For only 100 pesos a day, he could be a millionaire. Oh, what's this?
Pang grocery, ma. Adulting na eh.
So Insular Life First Million Fund. Help them make their first million today. At 25, Rafi is in style, in action, in transit, investing. That's why she's on track to make her first million. She's living the in life.
That's the plan.
For just 100 pesos a day, she can still live the life while setting herself up for life.
You can too.
It's time to be in. Ask us how.
By the way, that ad was patterned after Rafi. Say hello, wave naman. Millennial. Okay, that's her life. Anyway, the 4th lesson is deliver work expected from the position you aspire for. Okay, very clear. Not the one you currently hold. To be exceptional, you have to deliver at the level above your position or job description. This advice was given by MAP, Management Association of the Philippines President Marife Zamora. She's also the chairman of the Filipina CEO Circle, where I'm a member, and Convergys Regional Chairman. When I thought about this, wow, it was quite profound. And if I look back on my own life, I think pretty much it's been a significant factor in my own success. Volunteer your time and talents beyond your scope. It'll get you noticed. And I was always active in my industry. I was the president and chairman of the 4As, of the ad board, chairman of ad congresses. I was really active all throughout. And I didn't really seek a high profile. But what I did, what I really cared about the industry, and I wanted to make sure that I made a difference. So every time I got involved in something, whether it was to raise funds or to strengthen advertising organizations or amplify maybe a social issue, I mean, I was there. And as a consequence, so there's I present, other speakers have spoken about advocacy and the payoff to them and in very noble terms. And believe me, there are wonderful returns. But, there are personal returns as well. You know what? Even though I've retired about 3 times, I always have a job offer pending there, an insistent job offer, because people know you. People know you're out there, whether it's your advocacy or whether it's the activity, your involvement in your industry. So I suggest go out there and make a difference. And then bonus na lang yun. That, you will forever be employed. Hopefully not till I'm 100, but yeah, okay. The other one is very important. Find a mentor. Find a mentor out there. There are CEOs out there who want to help other women break the glass ceiling. That's why we have Filipina CEO Circle. That's what we do. It's there for that purpose. But there's also nothing wrong with getting a male mentor, a senior person with a lot of gravitas, so that he can be your cheerleader. He can amplify your achievements. And coming from a man, it might help if you have a male-dominated organization. I remember 10 years ago, there was this lady from a competitive agency. She was the CEO. She just called me out of the blue and said, may I ask to meet you? I need mentoring. And I'm like, I don't know her. She comes from a competitive agency. Okay, why not? So we met for drinks, and we had a mentoring session. I remembered her when the company, Aspac, that I was consulting with was looking for a president. And today, she's my COO. She's my partner in crime and my right hand. We work really well together. So, again, the payoff. Go out there. Later on, you'll find out they'll be calling, hey, you need a job. Those are the ways to go. The next lesson is, sorry, but work-life balance is a bit of a myth to me. At different stages in your life, sorry, talaga, you need to choose your priorities. You can't have it all. Although I try to. You may have to delay getting married or having children at the start. And you may need to quit for a while to take care of the kids. But that's okay. According to the Filipina CEO Circle, the women I interact with over there who've had kids, when women quit, when they bounce back with a vengeance, and they recover like nobody's business. So I wouldn't worry. Quit if you need to. You just need to have a good support system. In my case, I've been a workaholic all my life, but I had a supportive husband whose mother was a strong woman and who worked, and therefore she was a good role model for him, so he kind of understood where I was at. So I chose to have only one child, and I reared her full-time until she started school. Then I got her a tutor to keep her company, and she was tutored until she was high school. She didn't need to. It was more for company. And her tutor, I think, was very therapeutic, she said, to actually take care of a young child and teach and tutor, and they actually do well in school. So for her, it was good. So many times, of course, I felt guilty naman. Many times I also felt guilty because, I wanted to be there to develop her other non-academic skills or talents, and I felt that's something that I never did. But then today, she's a medical doctor in Austria with a PhD doing stem cell research. So don't beat yourself up too much. The kids turn out okay. Okay, because I watched TV one time, there was a show, there was this young boy, and he was like, he was neglected siya ng parents, and I'm like, I'm watching the show with her, and I looked at her, and I said, is that how you feel? And then she goes, no, mom, because I know that anytime I need you, you'll drop everything, and for her, that was enough, and today, I guess she exhibits many of her parents' work ethics. Seventh lesson, know when to quit and fail fast. Sometimes when you're at the very top, you need to quit if your integrity, your work ethics, your values, if they're taking a hit. Nothing is worth selling your soul, but make sure you're protected legally. I've had my share of legal battles, and I wasn't afraid to pursue them when I left companies where I had shares and they didn't want to give me the value. So I went to court. Ganun lang kasimple. Make sure you're protected when you do that. And related to quitting is to fail fast. It's okay to stumble, to make mistakes, whether it's in your personal life, career decisions, or in business. But when you do, you've got to fail fast. Cut your losses and move on quickly. 8th lesson, arm yourself with technology. The world is is becoming digital, is going digital. And there are only very few, whether male or female, who understand it. So if I were you, I'd study it. It's the great equalizer. And it's genderless. So in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Ninth, and I guess this is where it's getting closer to some of the other talks, pursue other passions that you might have. Is there an advocacy that you feel strongly for? Or do you have a talent or a gift or a skill or a hobby that you're particularly good at? I mean, this is food for the soul to help you manage stress, help you feel better about yourself when your day job is getting frustrating, and it's also good for rounding out your perspective. For me, it's always been about food. I've been cooking since I was 8 years old, and I love it. I love feeding people. So for over 30 years, I've been feeding my staff regardless of which company I was with. And today, in Aspac, we have free lunch Mondays and Fridays. I take care of Mondays where we cook for 80 staff every Monday. It's a unique benefit in the industry, so I like to post the, pictures. They're just like, oh, I want to work there. Anyway, it's also a way to kind of educate the young ones about fine food, fine dining. So nakaka-team sila ng mga raclette, mga spreads and whatever. So it's also a good way to expose them to that. I've also parlayed my love for cooking, of course, into personal marketing consulting. I told you about Bistro. I continue to consult with them to this day. And it's a job that I love because it's taken me all over the world. Because they go out and check out restaurants that want to come to the country, and then they do food tasting and all of that. I get to do all of that, all for free. I love it. So this food, this is what I'm saying. When you have a passion, you can, it just gets into every aspect of your life, and you can make it work for you. So like here, so apart from the fact that I have a personal marketing consulting with Bistro Group, restaurant group, it also has helped me win food accounts for the I worked for. So clients know that I understand food, that I love it, and they will entrust the brands to you because they know that you actually understand what they're talking about. So they'll give it to me because I love cooking it. I love experimenting with it. I like feeding it to people. I like getting people to buy the product. Another one that's sort of left field is that this passion has also led me to launch feeding programs right after disaster areas in like Ondoy and Yolanda. So I've gone out there to go on feeding programs, cooked, fed, but my only thing left on my bucket list is that I want to be able to have food trucks like they have in the States, these food trucks that go to the far-flung areas. When there are floods up to here, walang makakapasok eh. So, and people get hungry. So that's at least that's still on my list. And I'm sure if I did that, there would be clients who would want to support it. And then this one totally unrelated, but this one is for the soul. Lest you think, I'm just all about serious stuff. No, but I have a passion, and it's travel. Simple lang. And I love hats, as you can see. I travel. I do it to recharge. That's my me time. So you do have to have me time. When you're in a stressful job, you have to find things that make you happy. So I do that. I even used it as incentive for my Cebu-based scholars. Graduate Magna, and I'll take you to Hong Kong and Macau. Graduate cum laude, and I'll take you to Manila and Tagaytay. And I think my incentive is working because today I have graduated 27 Magnas and cum laudes over the past few years. And I only have, 27, yeah. And I only have 35. Only 8 didn't make it, kawawa naman. Pero 2 ang average. But only 8. The rest are lettered, so I'm so happy. And the 10th one is a bit controversial, die poor. And when people say, what? You crazy? And my husband, Ramon, he hates this. Okay, there are just some things that are larger than yourself, okay? More important than your career, the wealth you accumulate, your paycheck. You need to use the resources and your talents and your network and even your company to help other people. I feel very strongly about that. Started me early on this social civic path when she brought me to Gachas village at 15 to feed the children with cerebral palsy there. Little did I know my only child would be born with this affliction. So God really works in mysterious ways. I think what has made me unique and got me invited to speak today is the love I have for the advocacy work that I do, which I balance off with the commercial side of me, which is advertising and Oracle. As I said, my educational foundation has graduated a total of 35 students, and I'm excited about the free tuition for state universities because it means that that's supposed to take effect this school year. It means I can double the number of people we graduate or we provide scholarships to, because tuition really only covers half, okay, of the schooling. And you know what, I love it. To know that every scholar will land a good job and support their siblings through college, I mean, that's food for the soul. The ripple effects are enormous. Most of my kids are like come from a brood of 7 to 10 kids. And they, you know, the allowance I give them, 1,000 pesos a month, they use it to feed their family. Okay. One of my first scholars, Meg, ang galing niya. She was slated to be magna cum laude, but after a year, her grades started to slip. When I interviewed her, her father had just died. And this really helped her get a college education. By the second year, her mother had abandoned them, her and her 4 siblings, with an ailing grandmother. So she became breadwinner and mother all at once. So, I mean, these are the inspiring stories that I run across and makes me want to do more. I'm also business advisor to CNN Hero Efren Penaflorida. You've heard about that. Who continues to be my inspiration and touchstone. I support his feeding programs and also disaster relief efforts. When Yolanda hit Tacloban, I was in the States and I saw a picture of this young girl on top of a bicycle and I realized there is no means of transport for these people. So I looked for my biking friends and told them, where can I buy cheap bicycles? They directed me to Japanese refurbished bikes, and thus was born Tulong Gulong. And I partnered with him, with the vice mayor, who is here, whom I love, because remarkable. He didn't want any media coverage for anything good that he did. And I realized then he's the one I wanted to partner with. Why is there a Calabao there? Because this couple lost all 4 children in Yolanda. Instead of wallowing in their misery, they adopted the orphans that were left too. The ones whose parents died. And then they asked for help. They needed a Calabao to till the soil so they could feed the community. And therefore, I asked my friends in the States, give me money for Calabao. And that's why there's Calabao there. Okay, I'm almost nearing the end of my talk because I'm getting signals in the back. Okay, just a minute. Nawala tuloy ako. Okay. So, yeah, my husband is there in that picture in FPG Insurance. The FPG people, oh, it's gone already. Okay, that's one of the few. Taclob, have you heard of Taclob? Right after Yolanda, a lot of people drowned, and that's how they died, right? So this group taught, I mean, we bought the sewing machines and we taught people to sew, these first responders, survivors, and they created these bags that was designed by my executive creative director, where you put empty bottles of Coca-Cola litro on the side of the backpack, and it will float. It's a flotation device. Today, they're doing earthquake bags, earthquake whatever. So, another one is San Carlos Seminary, where we refurbished their kitchen, because it hadn't been refurbished since 1956. So, at the moment, I'm also working with them to put up a nunnery. I guess that's what it's called. They want to bring in nuns from women all over the world. To study to become contemplative nuns in the Philippines. So I'm working with helping the seminarians. I'm also helping set up an institution for these women. Why? Philippines is one of the only few countries left where men and women still want to become nuns and priests. So this is important. Okay. Keep getting ahead of myself. Okay, finally. Yeah, I know. That should probably... yeah, at the age of 62, I probably should be knitting sweaters or something because this is killing me, all of this activity. But you know what? It keeps you focused. And it's what convinces me to keep working because I need to raise funds to support all of this. And I would love to network with some of the other speakers earlier because, they do this for a living. Okay. So my philosophy in life, okay, is that whatever blessings you receive, it comes back to you 100-fold. So give back. And of course, to die poor. What does it mean to die poor? Why do I say that? Why is that my philosophy in life? Because it means that you've lived a full life. You spent to enjoy your life. And at the same time, you gave back to people who needed the help. Somebody comes to you for help, you give it freely. And that's why I'm saying I'm probably going to die poor. But that's okay. Because it means this is the kind of life that I wanted to live. I made a lot of people happy. I made a difference. And that's what's important to me. Because when all is said and done, when, you're not going to be remembered for the businesses that you put up, the brands that you launched, companies that you turned around. You're going to be remembered for the people whose lives you touched. Thank you for listening.